end Florence Machiavelli warned, "Whosoever desires to found a state and give it laws must assume that all men are bad and ever ready to display their vicious nature." Niccolo Machiavelli. Chapter 1. Your invisible chains. Your invisible chains. They are real, and unless you understand their insidious nature, you will remain a willing prisoner, slowly drained of all you possess. You exist in a cage you cannot see. Invisible chains bind you, draining your strength drop by slow drop. Centuries ago, Cesare Borgia understood that power isn't just seized. It's preserved by anticipating and preventing its silent erosion. They tell you that you are free, that you control your destiny, that your choices are your own. This is a lie they feed you, a soft comfort designed to keep you numb while you bleed. Right now, you are losing, you are leaking energy, focus, and drive into 1,000 invisible cracks. These are not external attacks you can block, but subtle sabotages, both from the world around you and from the weakness within you. They siphon off your potential, one unexamined thought, one unfulfilled commitment, one whispered doubt at a time. Consider the external pressures that bind you, the constant need for approval, the fear of judgment, the unspoken expectations of your peers, your family, your culture. These are not physical restraints, but they dictate your behavior, shape your ambitions, and silently veto your true desires. They are the invisible hands that steer your ship into calmer, safer, less rewarding waters. Watch what happens when you chase validation. You dilute your true vision, compromise your edge, and dull your unique force just to fit neatly into someone else's narrow box. You speak when you should be silent. You explain when you should simply act, and you twist your truth to be palatable. This constant self-editing burns through your internal resources, leaving you hollow and resentful. Every time you explain yourself, you move from an offensive position to a defensive position. The moment they know you need their understanding, they have leverage over you. Your quiet resolve becomes public negotiation. Your determined path becomes a series of justifications. You betray yourself, piece by piece, for the shallow comfort of external affirmation, thinking you gain support when you are merely giving away power. But there is another leak, a deeper wound, one that festers from within. This is the self-imposed sabotage, the internal weakness you rationalize, defend, and even embrace. The whispers of doubt, the craving for comfort, the addiction to distraction, these are the architects of your stagnation. They are the cracks in your foundation, allowing your true potential to seep away unnoticed. Think about the countless hours you waste, the countless tasks you postpone, the countless opportunities you let slip through your fingers. This is not laziness. This is a deliberate, albeit unconscious, act of self-destruction. You choose the easy path over the necessary one, the immediate gratification over the delayed reward. You trade future power for present comfort, and the exchange rate is brutal. Leonardo da Vinci, a master of observation and invention, once said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." What he understood is that true mastery comes from stripping away the superfluous, from identifying and eliminating the hidden drag that pulls you down. You must become a surgeon of your own life, cutting out the unnecessary, the draining, the weak, until only the essential remains. This is not a game for the faint of heart. It requires brutal honesty, relentless discipline, and an unwavering commitment to your own elevation. You must first identify these invisible chains, these internal weaknesses, and then you must sever them without hesitation. There is no negotiation with that which seeks to diminish you. The world outside will try to keep you small, to keep you predictable, to keep you within their grasp. Your own internal demons will echo these sentiments. whispering sweet nothings about safety and ease. But true power is found in the quiet defiance, in the silent pursuit of what is yours, in the ruthless elimination of everything that holds you back. You must stop bleeding, you must seal the cracks, you must reclaim the energy, the focus, the power that is rightfully yours. This is not about becoming a better person, it is about becoming an unshakable force. But there are more traps, more silent predators that feast on your ambition. What are they, and how do you turn their weapons against them? Chapter 2. The Smiling Assassins. Beware, the smiling assassins. They cloak their envy and feigned concern, subtly poisoning your ambition. Recognize them, or they will keep you forever bound to their shadow. The next threat doesn't carry a knife or speak with malice. They wear smiles, offer advice, and call themselves friends. These are the smiling assassins, the quiet saboteurs who drain your ambition, one subtle comment at a time. They don't want you to fail outright, but they certainly don't want you to truly ascend. They want you to stay within their orbit, at their level, a comfortable reflection of their own mediocrity. Their weapon is not direct attack, but insidious doubt. They plant seeds of fear about your boldest moves, offer unsolicited warnings disguised as concern. Are you sure you want to risk that much? It sounds exhausting. Maybe take a break. Remember what happened to so-and-so when they tried something similar. These aren't questions. They are anchors designed to weigh you down, to keep you safe and stagnant. Think about the last time you shared a new ambition, a difficult goal. You spoke with fire, with conviction. Then came the soft questions, the gentle cautions. They didn't tell you no, but they made you feel no. You walk away, not with encouragement, but with a vague sense of unease. Your momentum slows, the vision blurs. They didn't overtly fight you, but they successfully bled your motivation, chipped away at your resolve, and introduced enough uncertainty to stall your progress. This silent sabotage is far more dangerous than open conflict, because you don't even realize you're under attack until your dreams are already dying. Here's how you disarm the smiling assassin. You become a vault. You lock away your deepest ambitions, your most audacious plans. You learn to share only the surface-level aspirations, the ones that pose no threat, the ones that invite polite nodding rather than subtle undermining. When asked about your progress, offer vague generalities. Things are moving along, making steady gains. Do not elaborate. Do not seek validation. Do not invite their concern. Their power comes from the information you give them, the emotional energy you allow them to siphon, cut off their supply. Cardinal Richelieu, the architect of French power, understood this perfectly. He often advised his agents to speak little and observe much, to keep their intentions veiled. He knew that revealing your hand gives your adversaries, even the smiling ones, the exact tools they need to plot your downfall. What he understood is that your silence is not weakness, it is a fortress. Watch them. Observe their reactions when others succeed, when others break free. Notice the subtle shifts in their demeanor, the backhanded compliments, the quiet judgments. These are tells. These reveal their true operating system, a deep-seated fear of change, a desire to keep everyone tethered to the familiar, the safe, the small. Watch what happens when you announce your grand vision to these smiling assassins. They will immediately begin to poke holes, to forewarn you of every possible pitfall. They will project their own fears and limitations onto your ambition. They will offer 100 reasons why it's too hard, too risky, too much. They will make you feel foolish for daring to dream beyond their limited scope. But if you quietly execute your plan, if you make your moves in the shadows, there's nothing for them to undermine. There's nothing for them to criticize because they don't even know what you're doing. Your progress becomes an unstoppable force, a fait accompli that they can only witness, not influence. By the time they realize you're soaring, you'll already be out of their reach. When they offer their well-intentioned but destructive advice, listen politely, nod, say, "Thank you for sharing that." Then disregard it completely. Their words are not for you, they are for them. They are a reflection of their own limitations, their own comfort zones, their own unfulfilled potential. Do not internalize their smallness. The strategic distance you create is not about open hostility. It's about a quiet, internal separation. You can share a meal, exchange pleasantries, but you never share your vulnerable ambitions, your true trajectory. You treat them as part of the landscape, not as collaborators in your ascent. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, taught that true peace comes from within by detaching yourself from external opinions and the demands of others. He knew that we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. This is why their doubts are their own imaginary fears projected onto your reality. Do not let their projections become your chains. Your mental space is sacred. It is the factory where your ambitions are forged. Every negative comment, every subtle jab, every discouraging word chips away at its walls. Protect it with the ferocity of a wolf, protected with the ferocity of a wolf, protecting its den. Allow only those who genuinely feel your fire to enter this inner sanctum. The cost of aligning yourself with these smiling assassins is immense. It's not just lost opportunities, it's lost self-belief. It's the quiet erosion of your spirit, the slow death of your dreams. You become a shadow of what you could be, living a life dictated by the lowest common denominator around you. True ambition is a solitary path, especially in its early stages. It demands courage, resilience, and a ruthless commitment to your vision. It cannot afford the drag of subtle detractors, the weight of uninvited doubt. Your greatest projects must be nurtured in secrecy, away from the eyes of those who fear your potential. Recognize the pattern, the unsolicited advice, the veiled warnings, the subtle undermining. These are not signs of care, they are signs of fear, resentment, or a subconscious desire to keep you small. Once you see this pattern, you cannot unsee it. And once you see it, you can no longer be a victim of it. The choice is stark. You can continue to entertain these forces, allowing them to dilute your power, or you can build an impenetrable shield around your intentions. You can choose to be understood, or you can choose to be unstoppable. Nothing leaks, nothing drains, everything compounds. But what about the forces that operate within your own mind? The internal saboteurs that speak with your voice and know your every weakness. These are the most insidious enemies of all. How do you confront the hidden self, the one that holds you back without anyone else even knowing? Chapter 3. The Explaining Trap. Explaining is weakness. Every word you speak, justifying your moves, it's a wound. I will show you how this openness makes you vulnerable. The first internal saboteur you must neutralize is the urge to explain. They tell you to be open, to share your journey, to seek validation and support. This is a lie designed to keep you weak, to keep you dependent on external approval. Right now, every time you open your mouth to justify, to elaborate, to seek understanding, you are bleeding power. This explaining trap is insidious because it masquerades as connection. You reveal your plans, your vulnerabilities, your ambitions, hoping for encouragement. Instead, you invite doubt, you provide ammunition for your detractors, and you burden your potential with the weight of others' expectations. Your raw, unformed intent becomes a public spectacle before it has even had a chance to solidify into action. Every time you explain yourself, you move from an offensive position to a defensive one. The moment they know you need their understanding, they have a subtle, invisible leverage over you. They will consciously or unconsciously test your resolve, waiting for you to flinch, to waver, to give them a reason to dismiss your aspirations. Your energy, meant for execution, is instead diverted into managing perception. Think about the last time you enthusiastically detailed a new project or a lifestyle change to your circle. Watch what happens when the initial excitement fades. The questions start, the subtle criticisms surface, the unsolicited advice floods in. You are forced to defend your choices, to prove their validity, before you've even had a chance to prove them to yourself. This constant external pressure drains your mental reserves. Here's how you eliminate this drain. Cultivate strategic silence. You owe no one an explanation for your vision, your methods, or your ultimate goals. Your plans are sacred. They are blueprints for your future, not topics for public debate or validation. Keep them close, guarded, and let their eventual manifestation be the only announcement you ever make. When Louis XIV, the Sun King, ruled France, his authority was absolute, his decisions unquestionable. He did not convene public forums to justify his pronouncements or seek popular approval for his wars and decrees. His power stemmed from its very mystery, its self-evident nature. What Louis XIV understood is that a monarch who explains his every move invites dissent, but a king who simply acts creates an aura of unchallengeable might. You are the monarch of your own life. Do not mistake this for secrecy born of fear, but rather secrecy born of power. It is the disciplined withholding of information that denies others the chance to interfere, to judge, or to subtly sabotage your efforts. They cannot attack what they do not see. They cannot undermine what they do not comprehend. Their opinions become irrelevant because they have no data to form them upon. If you announce you are going to write a book, people will ask about your word count, your progress, your publisher. They will expect updates, and you will feel the pressure to deliver. But if you quietly write that book, day after day, week after week, the first time they hear about it is when it's published. There's nothing for them to question, only a completed work for them to acknowledge. This principle extends to your personal growth. Do not declare your intention to change your body, your habits, or your mindset. Just do it. Let the results of your silent labor be the only evidence you present to the world. Your transformation becomes undeniable because it arrives without preamble, without warning, and therefore without opportunity for preemptive attack. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, constantly reminded himself to focus on the inner citadel, the domain of his own thoughts and actions, impervious to external opinion. He wrote about the futility of seeking applause or dreading criticism from those who would never truly understand his internal struggle or his path. What Marcus Aurelius understood is that true strength comes from an internal locus of control, where your self-worth is determined by your actions, not by the fickle judgment of others. The less you talk, the more you observe. The less you explain, the more you understand. Your silence becomes a shield, deflecting the subtle intrusions of others. It becomes a vacuum, pulling focus inward, allowing you to concentrate your energy on the actual work, free from the noise of external expectations. Your discipline intensifies when it is accountable only to you. But what about the inevitable interactions, the moments when you must engage with others, when their perception directly impacts your path? How do you manage their expectations without revealing your hand, without falling into the explaining trap when direct communication is required? Chapter 4. The Soft Decay. The soft decay, a quiet sabotage indeed. It's the constant warmth, the easy options, the path of least resistance. This comfort destroys you. The moment you seek external validation for your actions, you open a wound. But there is a quieter sabotage, one that festers from within, a slow poison many invite willingly into their lives. The soft decay of comfort. This insidious force doesn't attack you head-on. It lulls you, pacifies you, slowly eroding the very grit and ambition that define your potential. It's the constant warmth, the easy options, the path of least resistance. This comfort destroys you by replacing the primal hunger that drives all significant achievement. When every basic need is met without effort, when every desire is a click away, your will atrophies. Your discipline, once a sharpened blade, becomes dull, heavy, and useless. You trade the fierce joy of conquest for the tepid pleasure of convenience, and in that exchange, your future self is robbed of its power. Think about the quiet evenings spent scrolling, the endless streams of entertainment, the processed foods that promise instant satisfaction. Each choice seemingly harmless, chips away at your ability to choose the hard road, the one that builds real strength. The soft decay is a slow drain, unnoticed until your reservoir of willpower is critically low, and by then, the thought of a real challenge feels insurmountable. Here's how you combat this internal sabotage. You must deliberately introduce friction. Identify the areas where comfort has made you weak, then systematically replace ease with effort. Choose the cold shower, the early morning run, the difficult book, the demanding skill. Embrace the feeling of slight deprivation, the controlled hunger for something better, something earned. This isn't about masochism. It's about reawakening the dormant warrior within you. Most people flee discomfort as if it were a plague, constantly seeking the path of least resistance. They chase transient pleasure, avoiding any sensation that hints at struggle or growth. But you must understand that the very challenges they avoid are the forge where true power is hammered out. The man who never trains in the cold will break when the real winter comes. Ivan the Terrible, despite his brutal methods, understood the absolute necessity of maintaining a keen edge, not just in his external enemies, but within his own court and person. He routinely challenged established norms and even those closest to him, recognizing that complacency led to weakness and vulnerability. What he understood is that a kingdom or a man allowed to grow soft and complacent will inevitably be overthrown, either by external forces or by its own internal rot. But the soft decay isn't just about physical comfort. It's also about the subtle erosion of your mental fortitude through constant distraction. What is this silent thief, and how does it render you impotent against your own aspirations? What happens when your attention is fragmented into 1,000 pieces? Your attention is currency. Every time you feed it to the endless scroll, the dopamine hit of a notification, the shallow dive into irrelevant information, you are burning your most valuable asset. This isn't just wasted time, it's a corrosion of your ability to focus, to think deeply, to hold a complex idea in your mind long enough to build something meaningful. They tell you to multitask, to be everywhere at once. This is the lie that keeps you perpetually shallow, never mastering anything, always reacting, never creating. Watch what happens when you surrender your mornings to the digital current. You wake, grab the glowing rectangle, and before your own thoughts can form, you are bombarded. News feeds, trivial updates, manufactured outrage. These are not chosen inputs, they are invaders. Your mind, meant for strategic planning, for carving out your path, becomes a mere receptacle for whatever algorithms deem engaging. You start the day depleted, your focus already fractured, chasing phantom urgencies instead of pursuing real power. The strategy is simple but brutal. Starve the monster. Build an impenetrable wall around your focus. This means ruthless elimination. Turn off notifications. Designate specific times for information intake, like an allotted feeding window for a beast, and outside of that, silence. Embrace boredom. It is in the void of external stimulation that true ideas coalesce, where your inner voice can finally be heard, where deep work becomes possible. Your mind is a weapon. You do not allow just anyone to handle it, let alone load its chambers with useless noise. The masses believe they must be connected, always available, always responding. They announce their every thought, share their every meal, and measure their worth by the fleeting approval of strangers. But if you quietly cultivate a fortress of focus, there's nothing for them to penetrate. If you do not announce your intentions, your progress, or your methods, there is nothing for them to distract you from. Your silence becomes a shield, your discipline, an invisible weapon. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, understood this fundamental truth millennia ago. He wrote about the brevity of life, not because life itself is short, but because we squander so much of it on useless pursuits, on endless distractions, on things that do not serve our true purpose. What he understood is that time is our most precious commodity, and if we allow it to be stolen by every passing whim or external demand, We condemn ourselves to a life of perpetual unfulfillment, always busy but never effective. But beyond the soft decay of comfort and the silent theft of distraction, there's another insidious saboteur, one that operates within your closest circles, often under the guise of loyalty or affection. It is the drain of misplaced emotional investment, a constant siphon pulling energy from your core. What is this emotional quicksand, and how do you recognize it before it swallows your drive whole? Chapter 5. Pointernized silence. Weaponized silence, a potent tool. Your ambitions, whispered to the wind, become theirs to dissect, to poison. Guard your voice, guard your power. That quicksand is the drain of shared intentions, the silent sabotage woven into your ambition before it even has roots. They tell you to share your dreams, to speak them into existence. This is a lie. This is how your energy leaks, how your vision gets corrupted before it can even take form. Your plans, your goals, your newfound discipline are not community property. Every time you announce a grand plan, a new path, a radical change, you create a point of vulnerability. Most people cannot handle the thought of your growth because it highlights their stagnation. They will project their fears, their limitations, their failures onto your unformed vision. They don't mean to destroy you, but they will, subtly at first, then with increasing pressure. Think about the last time you shared a big goal with someone you trusted. Did they immediately offer support? Or did they start with, "Are you sure?" Or, "That sounds hard?" Or, "What if it doesn't work?" They didn't hand you a shovel, they handed you doubt. They planted the seeds of uncertainty in your mind, turning your offensive ambition into a defensive explanation. Here's how you counter this insidious leak. Weaponized silence. You build in the dark. You move in the shadows. Your intentions remain hidden, your efforts unseen until the results are undeniable. This is not about being secretive. It's about being strategically opaque, denying saboteurs the information they need to target you. If you announce your next big move, your critics and well-meaning saboteurs will instantly begin dissecting it, offering unsolicited advice, or worse, ridiculing your audacity. But if you quietly execute, if you let your actions speak, when the work is done, there's nothing for them to tear down. There's only a finished product, a new reality they cannot argue with. This approach was mastered by figures like Julius Caesar. He understood that to ask for permission was to invite refusal, to explain was to offer weakness. When he famously crossed the Rubicon, he did not announce his intentions or debate his strategy with the Senate. He acted, he moved with swift, decisive force, and by the time his enemies understood his plan, it was already a done deal. He knew that power comes not from declared intent, but from accomplished fact. But silent action is only one piece of the puzzle. What about the direct probes, the demands for justification that drain your emotional reserves and pull you into pointless battles? There is another form of weaponized silence that protects your inner fortress. This is the trap of constant explanation, the insidious demand that you justify every choice, every boundary, every moment of self-hocus. They will corner you with questions, seeking to understand your motives, not to support you, but to find a weakness, a lever. Your explanation is their invitation to control your emotional state. Every word you utter in self-defense, every attempt to rationalize your path, gives them power. You are not obligated to explain your growth, your discipline, or your choices to anyone. When you explain, you validate their right to question you, and you deplete the very energy you need to execute your mission. It is a slow, methodical bleed. Watch what happens when you decide to say no to a social event or prioritize your training over a casual hangout. The immediate barrage of questions. Why? What's so important? Are you mad at me? You're changing. They are not seeking clarity. They are seeking compliance. They are testing your resolve, hoping you will break and return to the comfortable mediocrity they recognize. To shut down this emotional quicksand, you deploy the unresponsive boundary. Your boundaries are not up for debate. You state them clearly, simply, and then you offer no further explanation. You become a gray rock, unyielding, uninteresting, offering no emotional reaction for them to feed on. This disengages their attempts to control you. If you launch into a detailed explanation of your schedule or your personal philosophy, you invite argument and give them material to refute. But if you simply say, "That won't work for me," or "I've made other plans," and then remain silent, there is nothing for them to engage with. Their manipulation attempts hit a wall of resolute non-engagement. This mastery of strategic non-disclosure was a hallmark of Queen Elizabeth I. In an age of constant political intrigue, she was renowned for her ability to keep her true intentions veiled, even from her closest advisors. She rarely committed to a clear position until the absolute last moment, understanding that ambiguity kept her enemies guessing and her allies eager. What she understood is that power is maintained by revealing only what is absolutely necessary, when it is absolutely necessary, and that a silent tongue often holds more sway than 1,000 eloquent declarations. These are defenses against subtle erosion. But what about the outright attacks, the direct attempts to sabotage your progress and break your will? Your silence must also extend to how you deal with open adversaries. The open critic, the one who overtly questions your capabilities, mocks your efforts, or tries to bait you into public confrontation. They seek to drain your confidence and divert your focus from your mission. They want you to engage them, to fall into their trap of reactive defense. When you engage these critics, you give them the fight they crave. You elevate their opinion, legitimizing their attack by responding. Your time, your mental bandwidth, your emotional energy are pulled away from creation and into reaction. This is exactly what they want: to derail your momentum, to make you flinch, to keep you small. Imagine someone publicly dismissing your project or openly ridiculing your new fitness routine. Your instinct screams to defend yourself, to prove them wrong with words. But every word is a concession, a sign that their opinion matters enough to warrant a response. You are playing their game on their terms and losing valuable time. Against the open critic, wield an unyielding, results-based silence. Do not argue, do not explain, do not even acknowledge their existence. Instead, channel that frustration, that anger, that drive to prove them wrong directly into your work. Let your output be your only response. Let your transformation be their irrefutable statement. If you engage in a verbal battle, you give them stage time and validate their presence. You sink to their level. But if you simply accelerate your efforts, if you allow your undeniable progress to speak for itself, their words become hollow. They are left shouting into a void, their attempts at sabotage rendered impotent by your quiet, relentless assent. Weaponized silence is not passive. It is an active form of psychological warfare, a strategic refusal to provide ammunition, to engage in trivial skirmishes, or to justify your sovereignty. Chapter 6. Architect of Dominance. Architect of Dominance. This is not about defense but design. You sculpt your world, dictate its terms, transforming weakness into impregnable strength, anticipate, dominate. This active form of psychological warfare demands you become an architect, not merely a defender. You must move beyond sealing leaks and silencing critics to actively designing the landscape of your existence. This means you dictate the terms, you set the boundaries, and you enforce them with an unyielding will. Your life is not a passive canvas for others to deface. It is a fortress you construct, brick by deliberate brick. The era of merely reacting to sabotage is over. Now, you pivot to preemptive strikes, to strategic positioning that renders future attacks irrelevant. You learn to read the subtle tells, the insidious motives, the hidden agendas of those who would see you falter. Their weaknesses become your opportunities. Their projections become tools for your analysis. This shift in mindset means shedding the last vestiges of compromise and negotiation. Every resource, every moment, every relationship is reevaluated through the lens of your ascent. Nothing is sacred if it hinders your progress. Nothing is tolerated if it drains your energy. understood is that a ruler must not only appear virtuous, but also possess the capacity for ruthlessness when the situation demands it. He wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both, because fear is held by a dread of punishment which never abandons you. This is not a call for cruelty. It is a demand for calculated effectiveness, for the cold logic that dictates survival and dominance in a world that respects only power. You apply this logic to your own sphere. You identify the points of contention, the sources of friction, the individuals who subtly undermine your resolve. You do not argue with them. You do not seek their understanding. You simply remove them, or their influence, from your operational space. This is not personal, it is strategic. Here's how you execute this. You cultivate an aura of impenetrable self-possession. Your plans remain concealed until they manifest as undeniable reality. Your decisions are made with absolute conviction, free from external validation or doubt. You become a force of nature, predictable only in your relentless forward momentum. Think about the quiet ferocity of a predator. It doesn't announce its hunt, it executes it. The kill is the only declaration. Your success will be your declaration. Your unwavering focus, your disciplined actions, and your undeniable results will speak louder than any explanation you could offer. You understand that vulnerability is a luxury you cannot afford. Emotional displays, public grievances, and seeking sympathy are all openings for your adversaries to exploit. Your inner world must remain a tightly guarded sanctuary, impenetrable to their probing questions and their manipulative tactics. Watch what happens when you cease to be a source of supply for their drama. When your stoic composure meets their desperate need for reaction, their efforts become futile, their words echo in a vacuum. Their sabotage attempts land on solid rock, unable to find purchase. Henry VIII, in his quest for absolute authority and the securement of his lineage, understood that sometimes the most profound act of dominance is to sever ties entirely, to redraw the map, and declare yourself the ultimate arbiter of your own destiny. Faced with external opposition to his will, he did not relent. He dissolved the very institutions that stood in his way, asserting a new, unchallengeable power within his domain. He built his own church, crafted his own laws, and eliminated every obstacle to his sovereign will. This is the blueprint for your own life. You are the sovereign. Your consciousness is your kingdom. Every thought, every choice, every action must align with your ultimate objective, absolute command over your existence. You dissect every decision, every interaction, every aspiration with the precision of a surgeon. The world will continue to test you, to offer distractions, to send saboteurs to your gate, but you are no longer a target. You are the architect. You are the one who dictates the terms of engagement. You are the one who builds. Your life is not a negotiation. It is a declaration. The time for seeking approval is over. The time for allowing others to define your reality is done. There is only one command left to give, and it is to yourself. Eliminate the weakness. Consolidate your power. Command your existence.